Hi, welcome back again to ODE. Today I want to show you what I found that could work with this pen. I did some experiments, as I told you, with those parts of a big pen, and some things did not go the way I thought, but I found a solution, at least one of them. I may try to make some different solutions if you are interested in some other updates on this, but I found one a little by accident and I'm quite happy with it, and I don't think I would need to do anything else. So, as I showed you, the pen, the button the button filler system with the accordion sac stopped working. I would like to keep this part as it is, just for museum purposes. And I like cartridge converter pens, so I wouldn't mind of using a pen and transforming and making a special cartridge for this pen. And what did I came up with? With this, I made a special cartridge for this pen. And this is long enough that fits the breather tube. I didn't have to modify anything on the pen, just to remove this old filling mechanism, just that. And then I created this little thing. Now let me show you what I thought of, and let's go back to our big pen. So, which was my initial thought? I had this promotional pen that is a Bic stick something. I can see the name of it and then put the link for eBay on the description. It is quite inexpensive and you can buy it in larger lots. And I went for this pen and I thought that I could remove a section of this cap, then use, let me have an empty barrel here. I used the barrel to go inside there. I would cut it this way and make this part a cartridge and seal the other part. So this could be a way to fit this eventually, because this seemed the right size. And that's what I did. The first thing I did was to pick up a cap, and I have several parts here just to make this shorter and not doing here all the steps, but I'll explain them to you. I thought of doing this and then having this part that I wanted, throwing this away, and then removing the clip, and I would get this part. And I thought that this part would go inside the pen and work with this other part of the barrel. Where is it? Something. It was a notepad that fell, don't worry. And I thought that this could go in it, but this part that I thought would go perfectly here in my previous measurements doesn't work. So this piece is garbage, and I thought this would be the solution. And what happened is that I started playing with the other part. The clip was destroyed while I was removing it, but we have the top of the cap, and I started playing with it, and I found that this part would fit inside. I took this out and I did this, and it fit. So as it fitted, I knew, okay, this may be the solution. And this is what I thought of. I could use the top, or I could use a cap of the Bic pen with a pilot cartridge, glue them together, and I would have an adaptation for a pilot cartridge to go inside this pen. So I would transform this pen from a button filler into a cartridge pen. Most people would say this is kind of stupid because they prefer some fancy filling mechanisms. I prefer to have cartridge pens, so this suits me perfectly. So I will start explaining how you should do it. So first of all, I want to show you the materials you will need to do this adaptation. So first thing, you will need the pilot pen that you are using. And when you buy these model of pens, I saw it on eBay, they may come with the original part, or some come like this. If they come like this without this original part, no problem, this will work, you don't need that part. So you will need the pen, the Pilot Elite, this big sized one. You will need this Bic something, it's called Bic Stick something, I will see the name and then I will put on the description. You'll need this pen, and you'll need a couple of other stuff. It is easier to do if you have a piece of rubber, just to have a better grip, because you'll need it. You will need a cutting tool that may be this blade, or it may be a serrated blade, or it can be also a Dremel tool, as you prefer, because you have to cut the cap. And for me, this reamer piece is very important in this. This is a Pioneer, Victorinox Swiss knife Pioneer. This reamer is a very essential part to do this. So you need to have a reamer, a blade, and you will need to have some files, at least one file to file things and to make them pretty. And then you will need this araldite glue, or araldite, I'm not sure, I think it should be araldite. So this is epoxy. And now let me show you the instructions on how to do it step by step. And so the first step will not include the pen. The pen is needed only a little bit after. We are going to create this, so we need this part and glue to put this together. So let's take a look. We need the pen. We don't need the pen actually, we just need the cap. You'll get the cap and you need a section of the cap that has 2.1 millimeters of length, 2.1. If it is a little bit longer, there will be no problem, and you then can file it down. So you could put like 2.2 or 2.3 and then file it down a little bit until 2.1. I found that 2.1 is good. If you go smaller, it would do, but it tapers down and then it would not fit very well inside the pen. So you need to have this larger part, and 2.1 or 21 millimeters is the 2.1 centimeters or 21 millimeters is the way to go, is the length, the right length to do it. So you have these, you pick up your blades or your cutting tool, and what you do, you cut this to have a section of this size. Prior to do that, or only after, as you prefer, you would pick this reamer and you would insert it there in this little hole and you'd go around. And what you should do is to take this breather part. This is to avoid people to choke if they swallow the cap. So you can cut this with this reamer and then you go a little bit deeper into it to have the opening a little bit larger. And how large does it need to be? I will tell you in a second. So you have this part. Now what you need to do after having these, you should pick up a file from, or a couple of files of several sizes, and you should file this part until it is smooth. And you should also file the inside and also the outside to avoid to have those little plastic burrs. You have many shapes of files to do it. Choose the one that works until you get this piece. Now you need the pilot cartridge. The pilot cartridge comes with this little thing. Once I made a video on how to seal these cartridges, you will not need this anymore. So you press it on the side like that, and that little stopper falls down. Just throw it away, and you have the empty cartridge there with you. One thing that before putting these two together, what I would do would be to open the pan and have this part that now has no top and put it inside the pan and check if it fits. And yes, it fits securely. So this is the good size. If you cut it a little bit too far, it will not fit, it will be loose. Or if you cut it too long, it will be in wider diameter and it will not fit because it is too wide. If it is too short, I think you just need to throw it away and start again with a new cap. If it is too long, which means it is also too wide, you just need to file it down and then it will fit. So that's it. You tried it, it fits, so all perfect. Let's go to the next step. Before, I just want to show you something. I have another pen like this. This one has the burgundy cap, also a promotional pen, has the burgundy cap, and this material feels a little different. I tried to do the same thing with this one. I made some different attempts. This has the same length, and when I insert it in the pen, it doesn't stay in place. So be aware that these 2.1 centimeters work with these transparent frosted cap. There are gray caps, blue, burgundy, whatever. You may need to try a little bit. With the burgundy I couldn't do it, but I could do it with the transparent one. So now this is done. You rimmed this part. What you will do is to pick up your cartridge and insert it there. And you just need to see if you can push the cartridge all the way to the top. If you can't, it means that you need to rim this a little bit more for this to go there. But it should be quite tight, so you need to experiment that. You rim it, you try. If it is too narrow, you need to open it more. This one is okay, and it doesn't go in, so you need to force it a little bit, and when you force it, it goes there, and you have to force it all the way. And what you will find is that when both openings are together, you cannot push it further, but it can go further. What we are trying to do is to use, let me get another one and maybe this transparent one. This one is narrow there and you have this opening. So what we are trying to do is when we insert this part, this step will be caught there, so it will not move. So what you'll need to do is to do it like this and then pull it as much as you can, as far as you can, like this, and you'll see that you have maybe ½ centimeter there between more than the end of the pilot cartridge, and this is done. I tried to do that with the pen first, just with water, and it was tight. There was no leak, but I thought it would be better to glue it in place. It will not come out because it's very tight, but I was afraid that could be some leakage there. So what I did after doing this, after seeing that it fits, I removed it again, and it's not easy, and you need to not force this in a way that you bend the cartridge and eventually break it. You take this out and you will have this epoxy. You will mix it, both tubes, in the same amounts. It is a proportion of 1:1 of both tubes. You'll make the mixture and then you will put the mixture all on the inside of the part of the cap until this is very full of it, and then you will put this all the way as I showed you before, pulling with the rubber, and it is very tight now with that space there, and it's done, and then the epoxy is there. Then I went with that little spoon and I went over the top here and put the epoxy also here to make this step a little smoother, you see. So it is on both sides. One thing that I noticed, although the ink that I put inside the pen was a brown pen, it stained the Bic part. So I find that this plastic may not be completely waterproof, but there was no leakage, but it gets stained. Maybe we could have some coating inside after applying the epoxy. Maybe we could put some nail polish on the mouth to avoid the staining, but really the staining goes inside the pen and you not see it. Another thing that I did after this was all dried, I went here with some micro mesh and just smoothed this surface to take some excess of epoxy, because I'm not a very handy person. I'm very clumsy and all gets full of glue everywhere, so I sanded this down, I smoothed it, and I think this is perfect, at least for what I wanted. I created a filling system, a cartridge filling system for this one, and I can keep the original one. Now let me just show you. Let me show you the pen with ink. And for this pen I thought that a pilot ink would go nicely. I tried this ink before in this pen. This was an ink that I got recently from Italy, from Stilo e Stile store in Italy, and I got this small vial of, it's a very beautiful bottle of Hiroshizuku Tsukushi. It's a beautiful brown that I put inside this pen. So what I will need in this case, because we have no special filling system, I will need my brown ink syringe, take some ink out, and be aware that this pen will take a lot of ink because you have the pilot cartridge, which is not that small, and you also have the opening of this cartridge, the mouth of the cartridge, that is made of the Bic cap, and it also takes a lot of ink. I could have measured this, I forgot, sorry. So you can fill all this way, it is a lot, it's lots of ink. So let me just cap the bottle. I don't want to have an accident here with ink, because this is an expensive ink and a beautiful one. We will put this inside the pen. And now we just need to invert this and wait a little bit. Let me also cap the syringe. And we'll need to wait just a little bit for the ink to go down to the nib. This pen has a big collector system there near the feed, where inside, I showed you this before, that piece that comes out attached to the breather tube. It takes lots of ink also inside here, so when all this part is full of ink, you can notice immediately a big decrease, so you could have this more ink inside. You can see there is no leakage there, there's no leakage of ink anywhere. Before I made this video, I tried this exact cartridge that I'm showing you with full of ink, and I spent it all without any problems. And let me just show you how the pen writes in this Rhodia, this long Rhodia pad that I really enjoy, this number 8, that is quite large, and it is good for just small writing samples. And let me see if the ink is already on the tip of the nib. I hope it is. And yes, this is the Pilot, Elite, Sterling, Silver. This is the one with the long barrel. This nib is wonderful. It almost sings a little bit in some angles in the paper. I like this brown ink. It's a very dark, maybe a little bit dull for some people, but I like it. I think it is still a little bit diluted, because I had the pen cleaned with water. I flushed it and I didn't dry it completely. And so this writes really well. One interesting thing is that the pen has a manifold nib, which means this is one of the most rigid nibs to write in carbon paper, but I found that if you write with normal pressure, there's no line variation, but if you press it a little bit, although it is a rigid nib, you can have some line variation. And that is why, not just because of that, because of the size, because of the ink capacity, because of the large nib, of the very special and unique and spectacular shape of the nib, I think this pen is really a beautiful pen, a piece of writing instrument for a true writer. And in my wild dreams, I wish I was one. And so I think I will write a lot with this pen, like if it was a lucky charm that will make me go back to my writing habits, which are a little bit hard to conciliate with this YouTuber thing. Okay, this is already a very long video. I showed you my solution for this. I hope this may be useful for some of you. There are some of those pens on eBay. Maybe some of you would prefer to put a straight sack there and then have it working by twisting, just to have the filling system as it should be. But if you are like me and you prefer to have cartridges, this is a way you can have a very big capacity cartridge done very easily and inexpensively. The most expensive accessory that I had here was this, the epoxy glue, because even the Swiss knife was very cheap on eBay. So you can have all these materials that you'll use for a long time, and you'll just need a drop of it, so you can make hundreds of these little cartridges if you want. I hope this is useful. There are not that many of those pens around, but maybe for some of you that like silver pens, this may be a way of having this pen back to work and maybe useful. And if it's not useful, I hope it was at least entertaining, because it was a fun process for me. I thought I would do it in a way, and then it came to me that a pilot cartridge would be the right way. So I ask you to please subscribe my YouTube channel. I would be very grateful if you do it, and I hope to see you soon on next video. So thank you for watching, and see you next time.